1400 years old. Hasn't been.
Oh, so the language cannot. So the language, you see, watch it. He says the language cannot be corrupted. Look God's word. He's speaking about language here. No. You are saying language. That's the truth. You are saying the language in Arabic how it's corrupted.
He's waiting.
I don't know how long I can watch out for you. So because you know some people, Muslim brothers.
Just say one thing.
How are you?
Understand God. Go for yourself first.
I'm not talking about Spanish.
Religion, scriptures, like, I don't understand them. So I'm trying to find something that's sustainable.
Yeah.
That doesn't have conflicting views on it. That's why you have to go for yourself first. Because God doesn't speak in language, He speaks in terms of frequency, vibration.
I like that. I'm with you. And you know something? That's why the frequency of
When did
light
you say sorry?
is different from the frequency of darkness.
Speaks in a frequency in terms of vibration.
Yes. Yes.
He doesn't speak language.
Where did you get this information from?
Because you can't
No,
you
I
can't.
don't know.
Let me say for you. You can't misunderstand frequency. Yeah. You can't misinterpret frequency. Frequency is
Can you
frequency.
touch it?
But you know when you feel it. You can register it. I like that. You can feel it in your soul.
You
Is
know
that right?
You said conflicting, and I agree, but I think that point of view can be conflicting.
What do you mention? Frequency and what else? You mention frequency and something else.
Say someone
Frequency-
calls the
frequency and what
and they
else?
say this is good and they do a bad act. Would that mean that the frequency is wrong and the theory goes wrong?
They misinterpret it.
Yeah, so we can
Thank
do
you.
that
They're
religion as well.
You
missing.
just answered the question. You have just answered it.
But
That's
watch
what the
it.
Christian
But watch it. Watch
You
it.
get it now.
What is the point that he says? What is the point he making? I didn't hear him.
Oh, now you didn't hear that.
Perspective.
Yes, he says percentage too.
So his perspective was wrong because of his own mind.
Okay, but what was his point? I didn't hear his point. What was his point?
What was your point?
My point was just because something can be conflicting, say religion, it doesn't mean that it's therefore it's wrong. So even in your own example, like you think religion can be wrong because it's conflicting, but so can the frequencies be. So they can both be. So then, in my sense, it's like you can believe that, but I don't think that should stop you from doing your own research.
How can you have conflicted
with the
frequency?
truth? And me myself, from my perspective, like we all have our own perspective.
I like that. You're
My
very
perspective,
honest. From his perspective.
I grew up, somewhat Christian, but from my own perspective, Islam is true. And that's
Did you know Christ?
what do you mean?
Exactly. If you know Christ, you will know him. If you don't, the fact that you ask me what do I mean, it means you don't know him.
No, but I feel
Because if you ask me, I know him. I know him, so I can tell you who he is. I can tell you, but you say what do you mean?
You know what my problem is with that? You're not the first person to tell me they know Christ. I know many people in my life, in my 20 years, that have said that say they have a relationship with God. I feel if I put them in a room together, they'll disagree with each other.
That's human.
Yeah, but
Humans
if you know Christ, and if God tells you the correct way to live and the correct messages, how can you disagree? How can God tell two people?
Because of humanity. Humanity is still flawed.
I agree.
Let me say this to you. People ask the same question. Well, that's the Jewish problem. The Jews say to Jesus, you can't be Messiah. If you are Messiah, the world is in a mess. You came to bring change. Look at the world. That is a Jewish argument. But Messiah came for a purpose from God. Whether the Jews accept it or not, whether many of them accept it or not, it doesn't change the agenda that God has. Are you getting what I'm saying? God's agenda will hold. But even Christians, you might find Christians who go to the same church, they might disagree about certain things. Because in humanity, we all have you know what you mentioned about vibration. We all feel the vibration, but then what we say about the vibration, that's our interpretation.
I agree with you, but my point, I think, back to what I was saying, is more the thought that if God tells you a message, not something crazy, not something that you can get wrong, something simple, this is right, and then someone else, they've got a connection with God, and God says this is wrong. For me, that's not a miscommunication or humans making a mistake. They both say they've got a relationship with God. They're both conflicted. So does one of them have a relationship with God?
But watch it. You made a point, yeah? You have to remember that God speaks to individuals. He gives them individual personal messages. Yeah? Some of the messages are so personal you can't give it to anybody else. Others you can interpret it like we're human, so cross-board. Like Mary was visited by the angel Gabriel, who told her you're going to have a son. Do you think that message is for everybody? It was for her, strictly. You can't, there's no way it was for her life, for her time, and for her.
I get that, brother.
You
but
can
I
talk
don't
about
think
it, but
that
you
goes
can't.
against what
But you
I'm
can't
saying.
apply it to other people. Like, what? God gave Mary a message, so you know it's a message. No, there are messages that God speaks to you personally.
Yeah,
and if you try and give that message to somebody else to try and relate to them, like try and say to them, well, it might help your life. It might not.
Yeah, I get that in a crazy example, but I'm
That's not a crazy.
simplifying.
Are you saying that?
It is,
Are you saying Virgin Mary's case I gave is a crazy example?
Yeah, it is because it's,
Why is it crazy?
in your
God gave her a
perspective-
message.
Yeah, exactly. That's crazy. That doesn't happen every day. So I'm saying
That's my point.
Yeah.
So there are messages that God shares that is for every day, and there are messages specifically for a time, a place, and when the day is over, it's over.
I get that, brother, but that wasn't my argument.
Okay, what's your argument?
My argument was saying, God can tell someone that is right. God can tell someone an example that this is right. You should be able to do this, yeah. And you can tell someone else you shouldn't be able to do this. Yeah? So for me, that's not God saying that. Telling Mary, you're gonna.
I know morality of conduct.
Immorality. So
Okay, then I understand.
Okay, so
if you say that, I will
you
understand.
can have a relationship with God. He can give you something that's morally correct, but to someone else who's got a relationship with God, it's morally incorrect.
Well, that can't be
But
both.
it
Something's
happens.
wrong.
But exactly. So
Something's
who's
wrong.
right? You or them? That's my problem.
Well, that is the reason why God gave us instructions that are written. There are written instructions, yeah? They're written. I'm finished. I haven't finished.
Okay, no, I like
there are written instructions, yeah, that you can't deviate from. And so whatever interpretation you have has to come back to the written instruction.
I agree.
Yeah?
I agree.
Okay, now let me say this to you. You say you're a Muslim. You say Islam has to be true. And I say to you, Islam cannot be true. Ask me why.
Tell me.
Okay. Every time God is giving messages, He always gives a witness. In fact, the scripture says, God hasn't left Himself without a witness.
So, the Quran or the Bible?
The Bible.
So, okay, I just want to make this settled because you're saying you're about to talk about the Quran, but you're going to use what the Bible says.
Because the Bible came before the Quran.
100%, but you're talking
Good.
about the Quran.
So, yeah, let's go back
Yeah,
to the but wait. Exactly. Wait till you see what I say. The Bible came before the Quran. That is the reason why, if anybody makes a reference, the Quran uses the Bible as a reference point. The Bible doesn't need the Quran because the Bible existed
I
before the
somewhat
Quran
agree.
came. Do you agree?
Somewhat, and I'll tell you where I disagree. So I believe there's truth in the Bible, of course, but they're like, the religions are like prophets, basically.
No,
So-
no,
Okay, you
I
can say that, that's
disagree.
fine. But they share similar messages.
The Quran is a fake brother.
That's fine. So they share similar messages. So the Bible...
How similar? How similar?
In, okay, morality.
True.
It is. Abrahamic religion.
Islamic morality is completely different from Jesus' morality.
Okay, I'll tell you what. No, I'll tell you what. There's some similarities. So we look back when.
Some, I like that.
So
yeah, that's more clarified. I like that.
1600 years ago, when Islam first came into the world,
What are you talking about?
morality is as it is today. So now you might say Islam and Christian, it differs morally. But 1600 years ago,
correct
can
you?
I just finish?
Okay, sorry
1600
about
years
that.
ago, people were sacrificing each other.
Yeah.
So morality was all over the place. What guided us to today's time was the Abrahamic religion. To make us all agree in certain things of morality. No, we shouldn't sacrifice humans. No, we shouldn't. That was Abrahamic religion. So back when these religions first came into place, they were brothers in morality. Maybe now you might say
I don't agree with you at all.
Okay, that's fine.
There is, and I'll tell you why. I'll explain why. Because once you begin to put similarities between Islam and Christianity, there's a problem. Because I'll tell you something. I'll say this to you. If the Quran is true, then the Jewish Torah is wrong and the Christian Injil is wrong.
But what's the
Yeah?
Quran's belief?
But watch it. The Quran has a dilemma. I mentioned to you, the Quran has no witnesses. Prophet Muhammad is the only messenger of the Quran. Do you agree? Well, when God gives messages, God gives witnesses so that there can be a backing. For example, if you go to court in a situation, something happened, yeah? If you say your word, everybody knows that your word is questionable. Once you have a witness, it makes a case more solid.
100%.
No, that is a God-given thing. Even in Muslim Sharia, in Sharia, you need two witnesses to execute a particular law. So let me ask you, why would a God who gave the Sharia ask for witnesses, give Prophet Muhammad, the only messenger, so-called illiterate, I don't know what this is, he is the only one, the only messenger of the Bible. How can that be?
Like Moses, the only
Why did God change?
I think that's
How did God change?
Okay, I'll tell you this. So in Islam, what Muhammad preached, and this was his message, God didn't change. The problem was, like Chinese whispers, 10 people, you can have a sentence. And in 10 people get a sentence wrong. By the end, the last person have a totally different sentence. So you got to think now, if say Jesus, he spoke what language? Aramaic.
Yes.
Yeah. What was the first Bible written in?
Hebrew.
How the first pages of the Bible? How many years after was it found? The first remnants of a Bible.
I wouldn't do time scale. You do the time
Okay,
scale.
but no. My example is, say if it was 60 years, 60 years in a different language written by someone that wasn't Jesus. I believe there's going to be mistakes in that. So even if it was,
you believe.
Yeah, okay, that's
I like
fine.
that.
But we're talking about our beliefs, your beliefs, my beliefs.
Yes.
So I believe that will have mistakes. The same way you could go for 10 people and they can make they can make a whole sentence wrong. Yeah. Even Google Translate now. I can't translate. Wait. I'm just saying. I can't translate English perfectly to Arabic.
Yes.
Yeah. And that's today with AI, whatever technology.
Yes.
So 60 years on. Aramaic to Hebrew, I believe there's going to be mistakes and people are going to take things in differently. So what the Prophet Muhammad came down and said is, Jesus had the right message, Abraham had the right message, Moses had the right message. However, it's been the people have the message has been corrupted over time. So that way, let me just finish quickly. So what he believed, what the Islamic belief is, this was the final message to clear up the truth, and in a form where it can't be corrupted. And for me, that shows how it can be correct, because 1400 years later it's the same thing and it's the only religion that stayed the same. And let me just finish. So that was 600 BC.
Yes.
The Prophet Muhammad made these claims, and he's made a lot more outlandish claims for the time.
Yes.
1600 years later, nobody's proven them wrong. For me, that's the
if you're saying you're obviously a practicing Muslim.
I'm not practicing.
So which are you looking at, the Quran, the Hadith, or the Sunnah?
I'm looking at the Quran. It's the Quran.
The Quran. Well, you're not looking at all the different versions of Islamic text that lots of different branches of Islam will take us there through, whether it be Sunnah, Shia, or whatever.
Do we disagree?
Wait.
Yeah.
Wait, what do you mean?
So-
Wait, can I just get that point again?
No, sorry.
I didn't understand it, sorry.
Well, there's your point. You
Well, there you
don't
go.
understand what you're talking about.
Wait. Let's go back. Let's go back. Well, she mentioned the hadith. She mentioned your sunnah, and she mentioned your shia. You don't even agree.
We're being nice.
No, nice. You don't know what you're talking about. Watch it. Let's go back.
And I'm telling you what.
Let's go back. Let's go back to the law of witnesses. Let's go back.
For the book to come and correct them, what's he talking about?
But shall I tell you something, brother? We can't change the